Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast. I'm your host, Nate Weitzer, coming to you solo for a week or so here as Josh Lander gets a much needed vacation after the All-Star break. I will be joined tomorrow by Mo Nawara of thelines.com. You know him from Beat the Closing Number and other quality programs on our podcast network. As always, like and subscribe to this one. Me and Josh will be bringing you videos through the regular season and the NBA playoffs. As always, we got best bets, we got player props, we got the odds finder tool up at lines.com and articles up there to help you find the best bets here. We got a full 11-game slate here on Tuesday after a little baby slate on Monday. And the first bet I'm rolling with here is the Bucks team total under 119.5. Or Hornets to cover plus 15. It's really about the same bet for me. It's just saying the Bucks are not the same type of team that is generating that type of respect on the spread. 15 points. I mean, granted, they beat Philly by 20. Philly is dealing with some broken issues right now as they look for their mouthpiece, figuratively, to try to get off the mat of this season. Whilst the Hornets are on some sort of crazy heater that actually began when they gave up 120 with a skeleton crew to the Milwaukee Bucks in Patrick Beverley's debut. For what that was worth, you know, the Bucks absolutely crushed them. It was a get-right spot for them after they lost to Minnesota. And since then, I mean, these teams have not really sniffed this type of total in terms of the Bucks scoring 120 or the Hornets allowing even 116. That has not happened. The Hornets are number one in terms of three-point defense, points allowed. They have a 102 defensive rating. They're playing at a 96 pace in their last 6 games since that loss. They're 5-1. So that's why you like both. The number here, plus 15, is pretty crazy, along with the Bucks to not necessarily score a lot, because under Doc Rivers, they've just been slowing it down. Like, we saw a pace as low as 88 under Doc. Since that win over Charlotte, they've played at a 96 pace, scored 111 a game, 19 free throws. That's down. You know, they were a home road team prior to Doc, where they would kind of blow up at home or at least take care of business. Now it's a little more up in the air. I mean, we have such a small sample size, and he hasn't really had many opportunities to play at home. But since that long road trip that he complained about ended, that they're just not really scoring. I mean, they're playing much slower. They're winning games with defense. And in order to kind of go over this total, this 120, they're going to have to get hot from three, which is what they did against Charlotte. They went 18 for 52 from three with a season low 5 turnovers, which neither thing appears likely to happen here because, again, Charlotte is the number 1 3 defense in their last 6. They're also number 3 forcing turnovers in that span and number 3 limiting free throw attempts. So when Giannis doesn't get his free throws, when he starts turning it over because the officials are calling charges or he's getting caught in the lane, whatever's happening, like that Bucks offense is not going to hum. The Charlotte defense, with Grant Williams leading the way, has been very good. I mean, they managed to hold Golden State in their one loss in this span to 97, hold them to a nearly even assist-to-turnover ratio. And this is a red-hot Warriors team. Grant, if we remember, was a very good primary defender on Giannis when he was with the Celtics. He wasn't really the same player earlier this season with Dallas and did get smoked along with the rest of the Mavs against Giannis. But in the previous 8 with Boston, he helped hold Giannis to 25 points per game. So, you know, Giannis has been getting his 30, 35 pretty consistently. It's just the pace, again, that Doc is asking them to play at, the emphasis he's asking them to play in terms of getting back home on defense and stopping the transition defense issues. And that's what, prime example, like they shot even better than this at Philly. They hit 18 threes again. They shot 48%, and they still only got to 119. So getting to 120 might be pretty hard just based on the way these teams are playing in terms of style, in terms of pace, and how well the Hornets are playing, which is just really astonishing, and kudos to them. But second game here, you know, similar kind of look as Golden State at Washington, under 243. That's a really high total for me. And I know the Wizards have a reputation of running and gunning and not playing any defense. That's really only been the case on the road versus at home recently. And their offense has just actually been much, much worse at home. They're scoring 8 points per game fewer in their last 5 home games versus 5 on the road. Their pace is 6 possessions slower. We're talking 101 versus a 107.5 pace on the road. And that's why we're 4-1 to the under at home, 4-1 to the over on the road. They've actually gone under in 8 of their last 9 at home. And the particular thing that you're encouraged at here is that, like, okay, maybe they won't give up 120 plus to the Warriors, is their number 4 limiting 3-point attempts, period. Also top 10 3-point makes and 9th in percentage there. So they are scrambling, getting out to the line, and, might do a pretty good job on the Warriors, forcing them to beat them on the interior. But the Warriors, they're on their championship stuff now. I mean, and they're playing a bit slower out of the All-Star break. Really, I mean, locking in even more defensively. And it was trending that way with Draymond back and finally ramping back up into playing shape and the kind of elite defender that we know he is. And now it's in the 3 out of the All-Star break. I mean, they are number 6 points allowed, number 4 in opponent 3-point defense, playing at a 97 pace. Their offense is yet to kind of fire on all cylinders, so we've gone way under in those 3. I mean, they did get 128 against the Lakers. That game still did go under. It would have gone under this total as well. The Wizards rarely getting over 110. Like I said, they're averaging 107 at home. Really, that's the last 2 months. So, I mean, you're depending on the Warriors to really blow up for like 130 and more than I say 120 for this game to go over 243. Like, it's just a very high total. Their defensive rating is now 9 points better with Draymond versus without him. They allow 6 points fewer, and they score about the same. So, I mean, he is at this stage in his career making more of an impact defensively than offensively. Warriors have gone under in 10 of their last 13 overall. The only overtime in Atlanta. It's Atlanta, first of all. And then the back-to-back set, they had home versus Clips, who scored 44 in the fourth quarter to make that game go over. And then at Utah, which is just a really high-scoring environment, right before the break, to just the Warriors were running and gunning, and it's clearly a much different scene here as they come out with extra rest. I mean, forcing points off turnovers, the last note here is just that Washington does not force turnovers, and it's really hard to score on this Warriors team right now if you don't capitalize on their live ball turnovers, which do happen. But Washington is just not that kind of defensive team. They I don't know where their points are supposed to come from here. Like, if you do think somehow this game is going over, like, just go ahead and bet on Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma player props, because those guys gonna have to go off. Poole did have a nice game. I mean, a very inefficient, but he had 25 at Golden State in his first opportunity here for some revenge. Now he gets a second opportunity, but he's been really up and down lately, coming off a hotter game. But I don't really trust him against these Dubs and Draymond leading that back line. So I'll take the under here as long as it stays at 240 or above. Right now at 243, it's definitely something to capitalize on. So that's all the time we have here for Best Bets. Got 2 picks coming your way for player props as well. And like I said, I will be joined by Mo soon enough. And then Josh will be back from his little vacation. And until we see you next, happy betting.